All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So in here, we're going to make preparations and put the basic page down. So the first thing we want to do is make sure we have a server running, because eventually we're going to add some PHP as well. You don't need a server when it's just HTML, which it will be most of the time, HTML and JavaScript. But because we'll add PHP, so start your servers. Now you can use any server. Here I'm going to be using my Apache server, and we're going to need MySQL as well for the database to store the quiz that we create. So Apache and MySQL, make sure those services are started. If you don't have this, just download XAMPP control. Just search for XAMPP and load it in your, install it on your computer rather, and then open the control panel and start these two services. All right, so if you have that out of the way, that's great. So once we do that, let's go to our folders here. So I've created a folder. This is inside Drive C, XAMPP, htdocs, because this is the server folder for my XAMPP installation. So htdocs, and I've created an extra folder in there called tutorials and then puzzle. Now, tutorials is just for me to keep my tutorials organized, so you don't need that. You can simply have inside htdocs and put the puzzle folder there. That will be just fine. So inside the puzzle folder, I have these images that I downloaded from the internet. Most of them are from freepik.com. They're of labels, for example, this one here, which labels the 5 senses, and this one as well, so that we can create these puzzles using these images. So get the images you need. You can create some of your own if you want. Square images are preferable because they should have at least the same width and the same height, something like that. All right, so once you have that, that's great. We can put these guys inside a folder called images. And then let's select all of them and drag and drop them in there. Okay. So now I want to drag and drop my puzzle folder into my text editor. So you can use any text editor of your choice. I'm using Sublime Text, which you can download for free on the internet. So Sublime Text there, and I'm going to grab my folder and drop it inside my project. That way I can make files from here. So I'll right click on the folder, new file, and I'll say save. This one will be my index.php file. I'll save it there. And let's go back here. If I open my folder, now I have an index.php file. Okay, then I just want to put my basic HTML template here. So we'll do that by selecting this. I think if I do tab, it's gonna show me this. So we're gonna say puzzle. Okay, and then we're gonna put the canvas element there, and let's give it a class name of canvas. All right, so that's all we need for our index page for now. So now the next thing is to load this page in my browser. So open your browser, click new tab, and type the location to your project. Now in this case, you can simply go to your Windows Explorer and grab the folder path here and just paste it in your browser like so. Then it will show you this. If you click on the index.php page, it's going to load that page. But everything up to htdocs and before, change that to localhost. That way we are going through the server. We are running our file through the server. Okay, so that's great. We have our file there, and you can know that this is the correct file. If you look at the title there, it says puzzle. That means everything is working because that's the title we put on our page over here. All right, so now with that, we have our page running. Okay, so the question is, what is really Canvas? Now, you should think of Canvas as a way to display graphics on your website. And think of it like an image. Imagine you have an image on your website where you have complete control over the pixels of that image. You can change their color, move certain pixels to a different location, and so on, in order to create some kind of visual. So Canvas can refresh the canvas many times a second, which means you can actually play things that look like video in a canvas. That's how you make video games, right? But we're not going to go that far. If you guys will like this kind of tutorial, I will make more tutorials on game development in the browser if you would like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is search for Canvas, because it's important to know where I'm getting all this knowledge about Canvas. So if you do Canvas W3 schools, or just search for HTML Canvas, you will get some references here. So I like this one in particular of W3 schools, sorry. So the HTML Canvas graphics link here, so click on that. And also open this one that says Canvas reference here. Those two are important ones. So there's a tutorial on HTML here, but then they cover HTML graphics, which is SVG and Canvas. So both of these technologies, like SVG, is also kind of like an image, just like Canvas is. Now there's a difference between SVG and Canvas in that when you add things to your SVG, you can actually edit those things that you add there. So each element you add in the SVG is actually an active element that you can edit over time. But Canvas is different. Canvas is like an image, and you're manipulating the pixels of that image. In SVG, there are no pixels, which means you can zoom in to whatever size you want and it will still look good. It's just a bunch of formulas that tell you what lines and boxes to put there. But inside Canvas, you're actually manipulating pixels, which means if you add an object, let's say you add a square in your Canvas image, you can't then tell the program to move the square a little to the left or to the right, because it's not really a box that you've added. What you've done is edited the pixels in that area, and once you edit them, the original information is lost, replaced with the new. So that's why Canvas is just like an image, actually, and then you are manipulating pixels on that image. So keep that in mind. So here where it says HTML graphics, it shows you the basic stuff here that you need to know. So we don't need to read through here. It just shows you how to draw a line, how to draw a circle, how to write text, and how to put a gradient, and so on. You know, drawing an image as well, because you can put images there as well. But if you go a bit further, you will see better examples of this. Where is this? Actually, this is not even the link. There's a reference here, which is good. It's better. It's got this Canvas tutorial. So there's an intro, shows you how to draw, coordinate systems, text, gradients, images, and so on. This is literally all you need to know about Canvas. So it's a very short topic, but you can do so much with it. Okay, so on this reference, you see all the styles and colors and shadows, the methods that you can use, the line styles, rectangles, etc. So we're going to be using this fill rect and stroke rect quite a bit. So let's go back to our page and see what we can see here. Let's refresh the page, and we don't see anything because even though there's a canvas here, it doesn't have any dimensions. So what we want to do is go down here and create a script tag, because in order to manipulate canvas, you need JavaScript. So we're going to put some JavaScript code in here. So what I want to do here is I just want the canvas to be kind of visible. Okay, so I'm just going to put some styles, because remember that the canvas element is an element just like any other in your HTML. So if I do .canvas, then I can actually add some styles. So for example, I want to have a border. I'm going to say solid thin, and then I'm going to put maybe 888, some gray color like that. So if we come back and I refresh, you see a box of some kind here. At least it helps us to see where the canvas is. Now I want to give it a very specific width and height. So in this case, I'm going to say, let's say width 500 pixels, and the height, same thing, 500 pixels. Okay, very cool. So if I refresh, there we go. Now I want to center this in the center of the page. So what I'm going to do is put it inside a div. So I'm going to do that, div. Okay, so then here I can put a class name for this. I can say canvas holder or something of that sort, and then put my style here, canvas holder. And what I want to do is say margin auto, but I want a margin at the top that's bigger than this. We're going to say margin top, maybe 20 pixels, very specific there. And then I'm going to say max width. Oh, where did I go? So I'm going to say width 100 pixels, but it should have a maximum width of some kind so that it goes to the center. Now we have this at width 500 pixels. So I want maybe 300 pixels worth of a space on the side. So I'm going to put this at max width 800 pixels, something like this. And then let me put a background color so we can actually see what's going on of EEE, very slight gray there. All right, so let me refresh, and this is what we have. So we have our canvas there, and we have a side panel here to put our images when we need to. So let me look at the top margin here and put maybe 50 pixels instead. That way there's more space over there, and that's great. So this is awesome and all. But what I want for now is for us to actually know when the mouse is over the canvas here, because we're going to be using a lot of drag and drop. So we should know where the mouse is on the canvas. So to do that, we're going to add an event listener to the canvas itself, and that's the mouse move event. Okay, so I'm going to right click the page, click on inspect, so we can see the console over here. Now the console could be at the bottom here. You can select how to dock this. You can dock to the bottom here, or you can dock this on the side. That way I see stuff here. So we can move this around and click here and move this around. I just want to see the information in the console. So click on console there. Okay, so I want to know when the mouse is moving here. So what I'll do is, let's go to our script tag here. Excuse me. So the first thing we do is add an event listener to the canvas. So we're going to do this and say, first let's grab our canvas. So I'm going to say let, so let's just use const, because this will never change really. Const canvas is equal to, what have I done? It's supposed to be equal to like this, and then we do document dot query selector, and then we want to select the class canvas. So we put a dot for the class name, and we say canvas like this. Okay, so that's our canvas there. Then we can reference it anytime we want. Now the canvas needs a context, so that's the handle we're going to be using when referencing the canvas. So here we're going to say const. I think if you should always try using const because it's better on the memory, and if that one gives you errors, then you can move to the let, and finally you can use var if you want to declare these things here. So we want a context. We're going to call it cxt. I think ctx better. Context is equal to, we'll use the canvas and say get context. And then you specify whether your context is 2D or 3D. Ours is 2D because you can actually do 3D stuff in Canvas, but we're just doing the simple 2D stuff. So this is a requirement. This is the handle you're going to use to reference the canvas. That's just how it was created. So we have to follow those rules. And now that we have that, we can now my throat here, we can say canvas add event listener. Okay, so we add an event listener, and we're adding this on the mouse move event. So when the mouse moves over the canvas, we get a reaction. So here we say we're going to create a function. So we're going to call it mouse moved, like that. So we'll paste it there like so. And we also need to add, okay, let's leave that for now. Then what I'm going to do is create the function mouse moved, like so. Okay, now we're going to organize the code a little bit better than this. So we're going to grab the event as well as E there, the mouse move event. So then I can do a console.log so that we just see what's going on. So here we just say mouse moved. That's all. We just want to know if the mouse actually moved. Simple and straightforward. So I'm going to refresh this. And now if I move over the mouse, you see it shows mouse moved over here. And on the side, it shows you how many times that event was triggered. Here it says 110 times. So every time the mouse moves its coordinates like that, it's triggered every time until I stop and back again. Okay, great. So things are working out. Now the thing is, I just want it to show me that the mouse has moved when I hold down the mouse button. I just want to know the drag event, because we don't really have a drag. We do have a drag event, but it means something else, where you drag the whole element. Now I just want to know if the user has clicked on the console and then begin to drag the mouse while holding down the mouse button. Okay, so in this case I want to know when the mouse has been clicked to go down, because there's a mouse click event, I think, then there's a click event, there's a mouse up event, and there's a mouse down event. So I want the mouse down event like that, like this. So we're gonna call this one mouse down function here so that we can do stuff. So there's a function we'll create here called mouse down, like so. Then we will leave the event, and then here we'll say mouse down. So let's see how that is triggered. So if I refresh, you look at the console here, and as I'm moving, you see the mouse moved event happening. But if I click, you see the mouse down event now, and the mouse move continues. I click down just like that. Great. Now I only want this to show when the mouse is down. So when the mouse is down, what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable here. So we're going to call it var. I want this to be a universal thing. So we're going to say mouse down. Now there is a mouse down function, so it's a very bad idea to create a variable called mouse down. So you'll have to be careful about those things. So here we're going to change this to say mouse is down. So we're using camel case to show that these are three words here. So capitalized I and D. So mouse is down is equal to false. Let's start with that. Okay. So if mouse is down, it should be true. So if I copy this and click here and paste it there, we can change this to mouse is down to true, like so. So now the mouse is down when we click down. And then we only do a console.log here when the mouse is down. So we say if mouse is down, then do this console.log thing. Otherwise, don't do it. Okay, so great. So let's come back here and see what that does. So at this point now, if I hover on this, I don't see anything because mouse is not down. But once I click mouse is down, the now mouse move is triggered all the time. Now the problem is I have let go of the mouse button here, but it's still going, which is not good. So we need to have the mouse up event as well so that we can disable it once the mouse is up. So let's create the mouse up event and create likewise a mouse up function as well. So duplicate mouse up. Now we won't put a variable called mouse is up. No, we're gonna say mouse down is equal to false. Just like that. Okay. This one will be up like so. Okay, great. So now at least we have a way of stopping things. So if I hover, nothing. If I click and hold, then the mouse down event is being triggered as I move this. But if I let go, it stops. As you can see here, there was a mouse down. Mouse moved many times, as seen here, and then mouse up, which releases the trigger. Now things are working as intended. As you can see now, it's moving. The moment I release my mouse, it stops. This all looks well and good, but imagine a situation where I click down on the canvas, I start moving it, and then I go outside the canvas area here. And then now, by the time I let go, I'm out here on the window itself and not the canvas. Now, because the trigger of the mouse up is on the canvas, it won't trigger, which means it won't stop even when I let go if I'm outside here. So let's see that in action. So if I click here and drag, so things are working as normal, but let's say I drag out of the page and then I let go from here, boom. If I come back, it's still triggering. As you can see here, the numbers are changing, it's still triggering, and that's a nightmare. So what we're going to do is we'll put the mouse up event on the window, the entire window here, so that regardless where you let go of the mouse, it will stop whatever was happening here. So we gotta change this one to window. So we say window.add event listener mouse up, and then we release our mouse from the whole window regardless. So let's see that in action. If I click and drag around, it works as the mouse moved. I go out the window, the mouse move event stops, and if I come back, I haven't let go of the mouse, it still works. If I go out, it doesn't, and then if I let go over here, mouse up was triggered, which means if I come back here, it doesn't work anymore. So this is awesome. At least now we know when we are clicking and dragging on the canvas. This is all we are doing here, just to know when the user is clicking and dragging on the canvas itself. Now that may seem like a very simple functionality, but it's actually the basis for the rest of the tutorial. So with that in mind, we are good to go to the next video.